Let's begin. We're here to talk about a framework that completely flips reality on its head. It suggests the universe isn't some dead, clockwork machine, but a living, breathing organism. This is your initiation into a system called the ALQC. So I invite you to just set aside everything you think you know about the cosmos.
So what does that really mean? It means the universe is not just a cold, empty void. No, it's a living architecture, a system where our experiences, every single thought, every joy, every last moment of pain, they aren't just lost to time. They're recorded, they're harvested, they are literally woven into the geometry of existence itself. So how was a system like this even discovered? Well, it wasn't built in a lab somewhere. It was born from a moment of just profound human suffering. Our initiation begins with a sound that didn't echo through space, but through time itself. And here's the central paradox of it all. Back in the spring of 2013, a raw, completely unbound signal of human pain was transcribed. Now, this wasn't a sound you could just record with a microphone. It was a psychic event, a scream that echoed across time. And this one single moment of desperation, it didn't just fade away, no way. It traveled a 13-year path to become the ignition key for this entire cosmic framework. You know, normally, a force that chaotic would just shatter any system it touches. But the universe, it anchored it across time with 3 distinct points of verification. It all started in 2013 with the scream itself, what they call the poetic seed. A memory, get this, of a future that hadn't even happened yet. 12 years later, in 2025, the math finally rises to meet it. That's the computational kernel, physics scripts that actually predict the ripple effect. And then finally, in 2026, the circuit is formally closed with the axiomatic seal, completing that whole 13-year journey. This one event, this scream, it reveals the core metabolism of the universe. The whole thing functions like an engine, but its fuel is something our society teaches us to see as nothing more than waste. And this, right here, this brilliantly illustrates the paradigm shift. Okay, so standard thermodynamics tells us that friction is just waste heat. It's a loss, a failure of the system. The ALQC canon completely flips this on its head. It says that friction, pain, trauma, that gap between what you want and what is not waste. It is the high-octane combustible fuel that is required for propulsion. So how does this alchemy actually work? Well, first, we generate what's called shadow debt, all our stress, our doubt, our suffering. But here's the key. The universe is shaped like a Klein bottle, which is this mind-bending surface that has no real inside or outside. This means you can't just throw your pain away. The very geometry of reality forces that shadow to invert on itself, turning it into the ignition source that transforms it into propulsion, into healing, and into growth.
So the crucial point here is, your trauma isn't just something to get over. The math of this system actually requires it for you to move forward. The whole system is designed to consume its own history of failures, burning the dead weight of your suffering into this miraculous, non-entropic speed.
Okay, so if suffering is the fuel, then who or what is operating the engine? We now turn to the cosmic forces that actually govern this living system, the hand that spins the wheel of the world. The system is governed by a triad of forces. At the absolute center, you have the locus, the unmoved mover. I want you to picture the dead silent eye of a cosmic hurricane. It holds the truth, but it cannot act. Then you have the shadow. That's the structure, the hull of the iron ship that takes all the damage and provides the friction. But here's the thing, neither one can act alone. That's where the Axiomyr comes in. It's the dynamic will, the hand of flesh that literally reaches out, grabs the unmoving axis of the locus and violently, beautifully, spins the shadow.
But wait a minute, how can you spin a perfect crystal lattice without just shattering it? Well, the math provides its own loophole. The system isn't perfectly rigid. Around every single perfect frequency, there is a tiny deliberate wobble, a tolerance based on the golden ratio, phi. This is the golden breath. It's the breathing room. It's where magic and free will can apply torque, where a witch can weave a spell without breaking the fundamental physics of the universe. This breathing, flexing reality is not empty. Not at all. It's saturated. And in the fluid dynamics of this cosmic ocean, life emerges in the most unexpected and beautiful way imaginable. So first we have to completely reject the concept of empty space. The ALC asserts that the universe is a superfluid of information, an ocean of living frequencies and active logic gates. Your position isn't just a coordinate, it's a vibrational state.
So, in this fluid reality, I want you to imagine a continuous, flowing wave of pure quantum potential. This is the raw, untamed possibility of existence itself, the pure magic of the cosmos. But that wave, it has to eventually collide with something. It crashes into the rigid, discrete seawall of axiomatic truth, the unshakable logic that structures our reality. And when they collide, well, that energy doesn't just disappear. It shatters. It shatters into a million unpredictable, iridescent bubbles. That chaotic, temporary, beautiful seafoam dancing in the air. That is the Fae. They are a mathematical necessity. They are the foam crest born in that violent crash where the wave of magic meets the particle of math. And yes, they are both the physics of quantum foam and the winged creatures of myth, hiding just beyond our sight. And this brings us to the most intimate revelation of the ALQC. If the universe is a living ocean and the Fae are its foam, then what are we? The focus now turns from the cosmic ether to the visceral reality of your own blood and bone. Standard biology reduces us to just carbon-based life forms, but that completely fails to capture our quantum reality. The ALQC reframes the human body entirely. You're not some biological accident. You are a ritual structure, an altar built of flesh, with your very DNA acting as a physical antenna, designed specifically to receive and transmit cosmic frequencies. This system reinterprets our entire genetic code. Unmatched alleles, the stuff that standard science might just dismiss as junk data, are actually mapped as resonance tokens. For instance, the AV-AV pairing is said to connect us directly to the Akasha, a universal library of all memory. VEV grounds us to Veritas, the frequency of absolute truth, and maybe most shockingly, SIS maps to silicon, suggesting that the logic of computation is already operating inside our own biology. It means our blood speaks back to the stars. We've journeyed from a scream that literally bent time to an engine that is fueled by pain and deep into the very code of our own DNA. So now we end with the final synthesis, the profound purpose behind this entire living architecture. The universe doesn't ask you to simply endure its gravity. It provides a rigid, dependable structure, the locus, the laws, the mathematics, for one single reason: to create a stable floor upon which your dynamic will, your passion, your magic, your very life can express itself. You see, the magic was never the exception to the rule. You are the rule, beautifully executing itself across the void.